Hi there, my name is Anita and you're watching me on my YouTube channel Slate with Anita. Today is the part of the playlist Sessions with Sue, and we are going to talk about a topic which none of us can escape. The topic is feedback. We all live in a world where there's instantaneous feedback, right? Think about this. If you're watching me on my channel, or if you're watching me on LinkedIn, or let's say you are putting out something on any of the medium or in any way, when you engage with others, you get to know the feedback instantly, right? Either the number of likes, either the number of comments, either the number of disagreements, in whatever form it is. The fact is, none of us can escape feedback. Any leadership discussion or any managerial talk worth its salt has discussed the thing of feedback in like hundreds of ways. But today, I'm here to talk about feedback in a very different perspective, obviously the NLP perspective. So this particular topic of feedback, I'm going to cover in 3 different episodes. In today's episode, I'm only going to talk about what beliefs are there or what beliefs can be there that can support this whole art of giving and receiving feedback. In another episode, what I'm going to do is that talk about feedback exclusively with regards to modeling. Last but not the least, I'll then go to how can we really be great at giving and receiving feedback, the NLP way. Well, today, are you ready to first start understanding feedback a little more purely from the belief system using neuro-linguistic programming? So what are we waiting for? Thank you so much for watching this episode and my channel. Before I forget saying, please do make sure you subscribe, like and share the channel, share the video with whoever you feel can benefit from watching me talk about feedback. Right, ready to roll? Well, one thing that is very, very powerful and interesting and which I personally resonated a lot with is that Sue says to be able to give feedback to anybody, firstly we must be able to receive it wholeheartedly, completely, without any disregard to the space that they are operating from, and just treat it as a learning exercise. I'll talk about it a lot more. Today, I'm going to touch upon the beliefs related to feedback, right? So what's the first belief that can actually support feedback? The first thing is that all feedback is some form of learning. Remember that whenever somebody shares a feedback with us or we share with them, we are operating from a certain perception or what is in NLP referred to as the map of the world, and we really look at others through that. And because there is something that we want to share, basis that perception, we give feedback. Likewise for the others, when they look at us with their map of the world or their perception and they give us feedback, they're looking at it through that lens. So the very first belief that can really support and make feedback a very personal, best self-development tool is to look at all feedbacks as some form of learning. Yes, sometimes it's a little difficult, especially when you're getting feedback that could be a little challenging, but we'll come to that a little later. Second belief that could support the feedback is to remember that everybody's perception to them is the truth. Remember, NLP is all about working on ourselves and it's a journey with your own self. Now, when that is the case, obviously, one big part of it is how much do we accept others and accept ourselves. So let's say we don't accept a feedback that we are receiving from somebody, then we are actually rejecting that part of the perception or that part of the map of the world of theirs. Now you know how things can go from there. So the best way to look at feedback is by receiving it by respecting their perception or their map of the world. So we've done so far, all feedback is some form of learning and everybody's perception is their version of truth for them. Moving on, this is an interesting one. In fact, the first time I came to know about this, it scared the hell out of me. What is it? To quote Sue from her book NLP at Work 3rd edition, she says, what we recognize in others is true for ourselves. I'll repeat that. What we recognize in others is true for ourselves. Which means, let's say I were to go ahead and remark about somebody that, oh, this person is quite arrogant, or this person is quite insensitive, or this person really doesn't know how to treat others. in some manner, it is actually a reflection of what we have within us. Scary, right? But the good news is it holds good for the positive part as well, which means if you were to feel that somebody is kind or somebody is generous or somebody is so good at a certain skill or the way they operate, then the good news is that you already have that in some manner of speaking within you. That's encouraging, right? However, as I was telling you, the first time I heard this, I really got very nervous. In fact, even to this day, just because of this exact principle and belief, I kind of stop myself whenever I'm beginning to observe something in somebody. And I'm immediately able to go into a state of reflection where I ask myself, how is it true for me? And that really has proved to be very powerful. You must try it too. So, not only that, the next belief that really supports feedback is that the structure within us influences our perceptions of the external world. The structure within us influences the perception of our external world. This is very, very important for all of us to remember, because it is the structure or the how we go about doing things which also is an element of how we give and receive feedback. So the trick is to respect the structure, or the trick at least is to recognize the structure. In fact, there's a very interesting incident that Sue talks about, and I'll cover that in feedback and modeling, so do stay tuned with me for that. Next to that is the attributes that we recognize in others mirror the same within ourselves. So I did cover it in the last but before point as well. So here Sue goes on to talk about, let's say if I were to find somebody aggressive, or there is some quality in others that I'm not really that appreciative of, chances are that I'm a little frustrated and irritated, because that's a reflection of what happens within me as well. And this is where between the belief, the structure within influences our perception of the world, and this belief, the attributes we recognize in others mirror the same within ourselves. Sue has a very interesting incident to share. She goes on to say that she very rarely apparently gets irritated or flustered with the delegates in her program. Yes, I have experienced her as a facilitator. Boy, she is super calm. But she goes on to share this incident where apparently in one of her programs, there was this one particular participant who always 5 minutes into the session would do something or the other that would disturb her flow, or that would just make her feel a little irritated. Example, she would either sneeze, or she would drop some papers, or in one particular instance, she literally goes up, picks up a cup of coffee because that's what she wanted to have, and then she comes back to her seat. Now Sue apparently got really irritated, and then Sue told her colleague that, hey, you know what, this person is actually getting on my nerves because I'm getting disturbed, and it's really happening 5 minutes every time when I'm starting off something. Clearly this person is really bothered about how she can fulfill what she wants to fulfill. And then apparently the facilitator turned around and asked her, and how is that true about you, Sue? And that's when Sue immediately apparently went through this initial emotion where she was like, oh my God, this can't be me. Am I really like this? And she got a little flustered. But then after reflecting on it a little bit, she was really amused. And then she went on to actually remember the incidents when many times in her life, she exactly went ahead and tried to get whatever she wanted to get. And that's where she reinforces the point in her chapter on feedback that the attributes we recognize in others mirror the same within ourselves. Not just that, the heartening part, or the biggest belief, personally to me, when we change, the world changes. And really, I have experienced this for myself as well. Whenever I actually go driving with my husband, or rather when I'm driving the car and my husband is there, I would invariably make mistakes, and I would actually tell my husband, you know what, it's only because of you. Every time it's like when I'm driving on my own, or I'm trying to park the car, I don't have any problem. But when you are there, so you are actually the cause. And then I actually reflected back one of the times that what are the other incidents where I actually try and lay the blame on somebody else. And you know what? I now realize that this could be the best gift that you could be giving yourself. That when you have an observation about somebody, when you have a feedback about somebody, asking yourself, how is it true for you? And having that moment of awareness can be a huge gift to you, because after awareness, you can make the choice to change. Or maybe not. Well, I have always ended up deciding that I do want to change, because that's the power of development that can happen when we succumb to this, when we actually are willing to surrender ourselves to all the beliefs that will support the feedback. Wasn't it interesting? Wasn't it a little different from the way you are used to listening to all other videos on feedback? Well, do let me know, what do you think? I would be really curious. And remember, I told you that the art of giving feedback, you get that right only if you are able to receive the feedback. So if you have some feedback for me, I'm all yours. Thank you so much for watching Slate with Anita, and particularly my playlist Sessions with Sue, where I discuss concepts of NLP from her book, 3rd edition, NLP at Work. If you don't have your copy, don't buy this book. Please go ahead and buy the 4th edition, which has been released late last year. So you'll also find the link to that book in my comment section on my channel, or wherever I have put this video up. So please do make sure you buy it. It's going to be worth every penny of it. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you around.